Next, I've got a question asking about vegan alternatives for getting things like calcium, or vegan alternatives for fish oil, glucosamine, etc. Well, I thought I'd start by answering about calcium. Now, a lot of people think that when you switch to a vegan diet that you're going to have to really struggle to find calcium sources. But the reality is that you don't really, and in fact, people thrive on a vegan diet and get plenty of calcium. Now, they've done many studies on this. In fact, when they've looked at people around the world and they look at the amount of osteoporosis that they get in different countries, they find that people in the countries that don't consume dairy at all, like in Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Burma, all these sort of places, they have virtually no osteoporosis. And yet in countries like Australia, the United States, New Zealand, Scandinavian countries, Canada and so forth, the highest dairy consumers and also got the highest osteoporosis rates. And it's interesting why that happens. Harvard University decided to do their own study, a nurses study that went for 13 years. And they had two groups of people, one drinking 2 glasses of milk a day or more, and the other group not drinking the milk. And after that period, they found that the group not drinking the milk had the higher bone tensile strength. So in other words, that they had less porosity of the bones. And osteoporosis is like a porosity of the bones, like when your bones are becoming sponge-like. And even what they found was that even though people were consuming calcium through the dairy, because there's other compounds in the milk that are acid-forming, like the lactose that ferments in the body into lactic acid, like casein, which is 87% of the protein in milk, which is very acid-forming, and other compounds, that it was actually drawing more of the calcium out of the bones that it was actually putting into them. And for example, the Bantu in Africa consume 1/10 the dietary calcium of what they do in the United States. They're a totally vegetarian tribe, and they have some of the strongest bones in the world. So you get plenty of calcium from where the cow gets it from the plant-based foods. In our case, we get them from green leafy veggies, are a great source of calcium. So nuts like Brazil nuts, like almonds, like soy, like tofu, all these, broccoli is a great source of calcium as well. So calcium is easily obtained. Now, what about alternatives to fish oil? Well, a lot of people have been promoting fish oil as a health product, but I've got to say that it's anything but that, and I'll go into why. For one thing, it is true that we need omega-3 oils, and we need that for the brain, and certain vitamins are fat-soluble, and they need that, and for proper functioning, we need the ALA, alpha-linoleic acid, which is a type of omega-3, which is from plant sources. We also need EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and also DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. Now, with human beings, we've got the ability to convert from the ALA, which has got 18 carbons, into EPA, which has got 20 carbons on a chain, and then by using an enzyme to create DHA, which has got 22 carbons in the chain, and it does that quite easily. Yeah, so we don't need to have something like a fish oil. Yeah, fish, on the other hand, don't have the ability to synthesize DHA, and so the small fish eat the algae that's got DHA, and then the bigger fish eat the littler fish and so forth, and that's how they get it. But we, on the other hand, don't go very well when we're having fish oil. In fact, there was one study from 2010 that showed something like a 30% increase in cancer in the people taking fish oil. There's a number of reasons for this. For one thing, DHA is a very unstable oil and goes off very, very rapidly. Now, when the body converts it, it only converts a small amount, and then it uses it straight away and goes into the tissues and the brain and the cells and so forth. But if you're storing excess, the body parks it into the cells, and then it can start going off. In fact, that fish smell that people are used to is the DHA becoming rancid. When it becomes rancid, it becomes very, very toxic, and it becomes a starting point for cancers and things like this. So that's one problem. The other problem that you find with fish oil is that it's got a lot of heavy metals. And in fact, they did a recent survey on Choice magazine. They found even the ones that they said that they distilled the fish oil still had a lot of mercury and cadmium, and then they had the dioxins and PCBs and so forth. So they're very, very harmful for that. And mercury is something that's dangerous in parts per billion, let alone most heavy metals that are dangerous in parts per million. So it really, really should be avoided. Plant sources of omega-3s include things like linseed, flaxseed is another name for it. Hemp seed is a great source of it, as are chia seeds. They're loaded in it, and in fact they've got double the amount of omega-3 oils in linseed than you will find in the equivalent weight in fish oil anyway. but you're getting it in a better form in the plant source. And if you had the same, and if you had like one big amount of kale, for example, that would give you about one half of your daily requirement of omega-3s just through that.